Imagine getting married to someone who promised to always be honest with you, only to discover they've been lying and deceiving you the entire time. What would you do? Would it drive you to something extreme? This is the chilling story of a man in Houston, Texas, who stumbled upon a devastating secret about his wife, which led to one of the city's most gruesome murders. What seemed like a perfect love story turned into a nightmare. Marcus Johnson and Ebony Davis appeared to be the ideal couple, with a relationship that people admired. They met at a church event, and Marcus, a hardworking 32-year-old construction worker, was drawn to Ebony, a stunning 28-year-old hairstylist who had an irresistible charm. Their relationship moved quickly, with Marcus proudly introducing her to his family, and before long, he proposed. Their wedding seemed like a fairy tale, but beneath the surface, Marcus noticed subtle signs that something was off. Ebony seemed distant at times, and despite the luxurious honeymoon, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Ebony would withdraw occasionally, and when Marcus asked her about it, she'd brush it off, blaming stress. But the uneasy feeling lingered, and little did Marcus know that this secret would eventually tear their lives apart in the most brutal way. On weekends, Marcus would work around the house, fixing up the yard, while Ebony focused on building her beauty business. It seemed like the life Marcus had always wanted. Great wife, cozy home, and a bright future ahead. But as time passed, things felt off between them. He started noticing changes in Ebony's behavior. She became secretive, locking her phone when he was around and disappearing without much explanation. She said she had more clients, but when Marcus dropped by the salon, it was often empty. There were more excuses, mysterious friends he didn't know, and hushed phone calls. Even though his suspicions grew, Marcus didn't want to believe anything was wrong. He loved her and told himself he was just overthinking things. Every relationship has its ups and downs, right? But the tension kept building. They grew distant, and even when they were intimate, it felt forced. Ebony would avoid eye contact, sometimes acting like she was on the verge of confessing something but holding back. One night, Marcus did what he thought he'd never do. He went through her stuff while she was out. Digging through her drawers, he found a small box hidden away in the back of the closet. Inside were documents that shook him to his core, a birth certificate with a name he didn't recognize, Elijah Davis. As he read further, he found medical records showing Ebony's transition from male to female. Marcus was stunned, feeling like his whole world just shattered. He had no idea Ebony had been keeping such a big part of herself from him. For Marcus, it wasn't just a secret. It felt like a betrayal. The woman he thought he knew suddenly seemed like a stranger, and the emotions swirling inside him, anger, confusion, heartbreak, were overwhelming. As Ebony came home that evening, she walked into the room to find Marcus holding the papers, her secret laid bare. It was a moment that changed everything, one that would set off a chain of events Marcus never saw coming. On weekends, Marcus spent his time fixing up the yard while Ebony focused on growing her beauty business. It was the life he had always dreamed of, a great wife, a cozy home, and a future that looked bright. But over time, things started to feel off between them. Marcus noticed Ebony acting differently. She became secretive, always locking her phone around him and disappearing for hours without explanation. She claimed she was working late, but when Marcus stopped by the salon to surprise her, it was often empty. The excuses kept piling up, meeting with friends he'd never heard of and taking hushed phone calls. Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, but he didn't want to believe it. He loved her, and the idea that she was hiding something from him was gut-wrenching. He tried to brush it off, thinking it was just the normal ups and downs of marriage. But the distance between them only grew, and even when they were intimate, it felt off. She wouldn't meet his eyes, like she was holding something back. Then one night, Marcus, consumed with doubt, did something he never thought he'd do. He went through her things while she was out. He found a small box tucked away in the closet, and inside, he came across documents that shook him to his core. Medical records revealing Ebony's transition from male to female. His world crumbled in that moment. The woman he thought he knew had kept this huge part of her life from him. He felt betrayed. When Ebony came home, Marcus confronted her, and things escalated quickly. As she tried to explain, his anger boiled over, leading him to a breaking point that ended in unimaginable violence. By the time the police arrived, Marcus sat in shock, unable to comprehend what he had done. The home they had built together was now the scene of a gruesome tragedy. Marcus, a man trapped in his own mind, was interrogated by detectives who tried to understand the horrific crime of Ebony's brutal murder. Marcus confessed to lying to his girlfriend, Ebony, and mutilating her body. The detective asked if Marcus understood his actions, but Marcus couldn't hold his gaze. The crime sent shockwaves across the nation, with media outlets pounced on the details, leading to a national debate. Some portrayed Marcus as a monster fueled by hatred, while others portrayed him as a victim of betrayal. As the trial loomed, Marcus's legal team began to craft a defense centered around emotional distress, portraying him as a man whose mind snapped under the weight of deception and deep-seated insecurities. However, no defense, argument, or trial could undo the violence that had shattered their home, a place once filled with love, now forever marked by blood and betrayal. The defense argued that Marcus had been driven to the brink by the emotional shock of discovering his wife's secret, a revelation that left him deeply scarred. In contrast, the prosecution painted Marcus as a cold-blooded killer, fueled by rage and capable of unimaginable brutality. As the trial unfolded, Ebony's life became a spectacle for the media, while Marcus's actions on that tragic day were examined in detail. Photos of the gruesome crime scene, blood-splattered walls, the hammer used in the attack, and Ebony's mutilated body left the courtroom in stunned silence. Ebony's mother delivered the most heart-wrenching testimony. Her grief was palpable as she described her daughter's deep love for Marcus, how she had feared revealing the truth, but clung to the hope that one day he would accept her for who she was. "She just wanted to be loved," her mother said, her words echoing through the courtroom. And instead, she was murdered. After weeks of testimony and emotional closing arguments, the jury returned their verdict: guilty of first-degree murder. Marcus, now a shadow of the man he once was, showed little reaction as his fate was sealed. He was led out of the courtroom under the anguished gaze of Ebony's family, whose pain no verdict could ever heal. Even after the trial, the case sparked widespread debate. Online forums and YouTube videos dissected every detail, while a viral "Shock Justice for Ebony" movement highlighted the violence faced by transgender people, particularly Black transgender women. The community where Ebony had lived and died was forever scarred by the tragedy, and Marcus's family struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the monster he had become. The case serves as a grim reminder of the dangers of buried secrets, societal pressures, and unchecked rage that can lead to something truly horrific. Well, that's it for today. What do you think are the biggest factors that can lead to such extreme actions? Do you believe that buried secrets can truly destroy relationships to this level? Or is it something deeper, more darker? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future updates and stories like this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.